Hello, hello, hello. Like that little rock song there. It does it for me. Just me going. Just me going. All right, all right. Welcome back to another episode of Shoot the Hoot Raw. I'm Chuck Taylor, co-founder and chief go-getter here at CyberHoot. And whether you're a longtime watcher or brand new to the nest, I'm glad you're here. This is where we take the real-world cybersecurity threats, strip away all the hype, and talk about what actually works in the real world with real users under real pressure. Today, we're tackling something that sounds technical, but really isn't. It's MFA fatigue. You turned on the multi-factor authentication. You enforced it. You checked the compliance bots, and yet you still got breached. Not because MFA is broken, because humans get tired, and attackers know it. So whether you're an MSP protecting clients, business leader protecting your team, or someone who's ever tapped approve without fully thinking, this one's for you. So let's dive right into it. All right, crew. Here's what we're flying with today. First up, our 5-minute rant, the MFA fatigue problem. We're breaking down how attackers don't break MFA, they annoy you until you approve it. Push bombing, psychological pressure, and why one tiny tap can undo your entire security stack. Then we head to the CyberHoot Nerd Update, where we got more visibility, fewer false positives, and better flow. What we've sharpened and what we've smoothed out, and what's going to make your security life a little less noisy. After that, our open mic Q&A. Tap deny, ask anyway. We'll tackle the common questions around MFA, number matching, training, how to actually make this stick in real environments. And finally, our Hoot-worthy horror story. We've got to have one of those. Uber 2022 to the rescue here for it. Well, this is when they had a push spam open the door. A real-world example of how persistence and one approval turned into a very public incident. So buckle up, because today's lesson is simple. Security doesn't fail when systems break. It fails when fatigue wins. Let's get into it. Okay, let's start with how this actually works. An attacker gets a valid username and password, usually from phishing or some leaked credential on the dark web or something. They try to log in, but boom, MFA kicks in. Yes, stop, halt. But you get the push notification. Approve the sign in. So far, so good. But here's the twist. They don't stop. They keep trying. Ping, ping, ping. It's during your commute. It's during dinner. It's during your meeting. They're not trying to break MFA. They're trying to wear you down. Because eventually, one of three things happens. One, you think it's a glitch. Two, you think IT needs you to approve something. Or three, you just want the buzzing to stop. So that's what you do. You tap approve. And just like that, the attacker didn't defeat your firewall. They defeated your patience. Push bombing isn't a technical, isn't technical genius. It's psychological persistence. And that's what makes it dangerous. So let's talk about the most dangerous button in your organization. It's not delete server. It's not disable firewall. It's that tiny little approve button. You can spend thousands on security tools. I'm talking firewalls, email filtering, conditional access, endpoint protection, and all of that to be bypassed with one tired thumb. So you've been thumb wrestling and worked those muscles up. One tired thumb can get you there. Because MFA assumes something very simple. If the user approves, it must be legitimate, right? That's a lot of trust in someone who, one, is mid-meeting, two, they're half asleep, three, they're just trying to stop their phone from buzzing. Here's the truth. MFA isn't broken. It works exactly as designed. The system asked, the user approved, and the access was granted. There was no malware. There was no exploit. There was just fatigue. Attackers don't break your technology. They create enough noise that someone stops thinking. And that's why training matters, because when approved becomes automatic, your entire security stack becomes completely optional. So if this still feels theoretical to you, it's not. This technique has already been used against big companies like Cisco, Microsoft-related environments, Okta customers, and yes, Uber, which we'll unpack a little bit in our Hoot-worthy horror story. So in Cisco's 2022 incident, an attacker used valid credentials and repeatedly pushed MFA requests until access was approved. Microsoft later reported that push fatigue became such a common problem that they moved forward toward number matching MFA because simple approve deny was too easy to abuse. Okta customers experienced similar attacks, credential theft followed by push spam. Notice the pattern there? These weren't small businesses with no controls. They were organizations with mature security programs. They had firewalls. They had endpoint protection. They had monitoring teams. And the entry point, a notification. Bing, there it is, a notification. This isn't about weak technology. It's about human friction. When attackers realize they can't break your system, they start trying to break your routine. And sometimes That's not enough. So let's clear something up here. MFA is powerful, but it's not magic. Turning it on is step one, not mission accomplished. If you're still using the simple approve, deny, push notifications, you're relying on user discipline alone. And discipline fades under pressure. Here's what needs to change immediately. First, number matching MFA. If a login attempt shows a code on the screen and the user has to enter that code on their phone, now they're thinking. Now it's intentional. Now fatigue doesn't work so easily. Second, rate limiting and lockouts. Listen, if someone triggers 20 push requests in a row, that account should raise a flag, right? Not just buzzing, 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 buzzing. It should raise a flag. Third, you have to have clear response protocols. Users should know exactly what to do when they get an unexpected push. Obviously, the pause is huge. Don't approve it. Tap the deny and report it immediately. That's culture, because MFA doesn't fail when it's figured poorly. It fails when it's treated like a checkbox instead of a process. There was that checkbox training again. It's not good. Security isn't about adding more tools. It's about reducing automatic behavior, and that's what stops fatigue attacks. So let's end the main topic like this. Passwords used to be the front line. Now, pause is the front line. That little pause, right? And if you want to pause longer, make it a pregnant pause. Because in an MFA fatigue attack, nothing is technically broken. The system works. The question is, does the human work? So here's what we train. You didn't initiate the login, don't approve it, ever. No guessing. No, maybe IT needs this. No, it'll stop buzzing, thank the Lord. Deny it, then report it. That's the reflex that we actually want. Not fear, not panic, a pause reflex, right? Hurry up and stop, for lack of a better way of reporting it or saying it. Because when an unexpected push shows up, the goal isn't confusion, it's interruption. That pause, that half second of, wait, I just logged in somewhere? That's where breaches are stopped. This is why monthly reinforcement matters. Not annual training, not a one-time memo, habit building, because attackers rely on automatic behavior. We win when users become intentional. Pause, deny, report. That's the new password. So security is part culture, but it's part configuration as well. So let's shift gears right now and see what we've been sharpening on our platform side of the house with our CyberHoot Nerd update. All right, let's head into the nest and talk about upgrades. First up, logging and visibility. We added a full tenant and site logs page inside of Autopilot. Plus, we gave you some new API endpoints to access that data programmatically. So the translation there is you get more transparency, you get better troubleshooting, and less of who changed that mystery. And we also renamed the MSP settings to site settings. It's a small clarity move, but a big mental relief, and got rid of some of those inconsistencies. All right. Next, our attack fish improvements. We reduced false positives in phishing tests, updated the UI to ignore unverified actions. Yeah, this has been kind of a pain where, you get all these clicks at once or all these open emails at once that aren't accurate. We put a lot of work in that. Thanks to one of our partners for helping us out with that. So we're putting those things, we're doing in place today because, nothing kills your confidence faster than noisy reporting, right? And when someone reports a phish, you want signal, right? You want the truth, not some static in the background, right? So then we tackled login and session flow, cleaner power to autopilot redirects, a nice welcome message on login, and we fixed the session timeout issues on our autopilot sites page. So in other words, there's few random log out. So, fewer of those, why am I back at the login screen moments? Doesn't work for me. And finally, a small but fun one, Hootfish popovers are now draggable because if it's covering the thing you're trying to read, now you can move it, just a little move, it works just fine. So that's the update. We got more visibility, fewer false alarms, and smoother workflows. Now let's open it up. So we've covered the fatigue, fixes, and the platform upgrades. Now let's talk about the questions that are probably buzzing in your head, hopefully not 37 times in a row like an MFA push. All right, but first, boom, 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 we're gonna show our banner, right? Here we go, we'll show our banner. Be the first to send the email the MFA pause 10 to shootthehoot@cyber.com and get 10% off your next invoice. Type it in, click send, and get that 10. And if you're watching this live, no worries. Email us anyway. I'm gonna give you the 10% off anyway. I'm a nice guy like that. Yeah, that was my kind of radio voice, trying to break it up a little bit. It's the same thing every week, I know, besides the code changing. I'm gonna try to play with that a little bit each week, see how much fun we can have. All right. All right, let's go to our next slide. Boom, our Q&A time. It's time for Q&A, Q&A. So let's open the floor. And if nobody jumps in, don't worry. You know me, I've got the top 3 questions I hear every time we talk about MFA fatigue. I got something ready for you guys if there's nothing that comes in. All right, let's get started. Isn't MFA still better than nothing? Absolutely, 100% yes. MFA is powerful. It is definitely powerful, but simple push-based MFA without number matching, well, that's kind of like locking your door but taking your key to it, right? It works until someone has pushed the human part of it. The goal wasn't to remove MFA. No, it's to configure it smarter and to train your users better. All right, so keep that in mind. Right, next question here. All right, what if users just keep approving anyway? Then guess what? If that keeps happening, this isn't a tech problem, it's a training problem. You don't fix fatigue with stricter settings alone. You fix it by making unexpected pushes memorable. Monthly reinforcement, clear reporting protocols, celebrate your denials, not just your pass rates. Because we don't want fear. We don't want fear. We want reflex, that pause reflex we talked about earlier. All right. Okay. Is number matching really that much safer? Yes, 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 yes. Microsoft, I think they did this one right. Because now the user must match a number from their login screen. And that requires, guess what? That requires attention. And attention breaks fatigue. Push fatigue works because approval is passive. Number matching makes it active. And attackers, they hate active thinking. So at the end of the day, MFA fatigue isn't a vulnerability in software. It's a vulnerability in habit. And habits, they can be trained. So we've talked about how MFA fatigue works. We've looked at what happens when someone finally taps that approve. Now it's time for our Hoot-worthy horror story. Check it out. All right. So let's walk through this. Uber, September 2022, an attacker somehow gets a password. They try to log in, but guess what? MFA kicks in. Yes, we're protected. We're protected. The employee starts getting push notifications, but guess what? They ignore them. But guess what the attacker does? They keep sending them. Ping, 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 still ignored. And think about it in the middle of the night. I know sometimes I get multiple text messages in the middle of the night. So something's flaring up. If it's like ding, 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 I'm hitting my phone. I'm like, just go away, just go away. I'm trying to sleep, right? So these pings are getting ignored. So just what the attacker did here. This attacker here, they escalated the situation. They messaged the employee on the WhatsApp app pretending to be IT. Hey, you need to approve this to stop those login attempts. Now think about that. The attacker, they created the problem and then positioned themselves as the solution. Eventually, the employee taps approve. And just like that, Uber's international systems were accessible. Slack, admin panels, internal dashboards. This wasn't elite zero-day hacking. It was patience plus pressure. And here's the big lesson. The technology worked. The system asked for verification. The human provided it. This is why MFA, it isn't magic. It protects you until behavior overrides it. And that's why culture and training matter as much as configuration. Because in this case, the breach didn't start with malware. It started with a notification. Now, here's the part people forget. They forget this all the time. Uber didn't lose millions in a wire transfer, but they did lose something else important. The attacker accessed internal Slack and administrative tools. Uber had to shut down parts of its internal system to contain the incident. Engineering was paused. Security teams went into full incident response mode. And because Uber had already been under regulatory scrutiny before from a prior breach, this incident hit harder. Headlines came fast and reputational damage came faster. So here's the takeaway. Even if the customer credit cards aren't leaked, operational disruption, public scrutiny, and trust erosion are expensive. This wasn't a technical challenge or collapse. It wasn't. This was a moment of fatigue that became a global headline. And that's the cost of just one approval. So the good news, this is preventable. Absolutely is preventable. So let's close with the habits that actually stop it. So let's bring this in for our landing. Today wasn't about scaring you. It was about clarity. MFA fatigue isn't some advanced hacker trick. It's persistence. It's pressure. It's psychology. It's push bombing that works because humans get tired. And approve becomes automatic. But there's good news. It's always good news. This is preventable. Number matching, rate limiting, clear reporting protocols, and most importantly, training users to pause instead of panic. Because security doesn't fail when technology breaks. It fails when routine gets unquestioned, goes by unquestioned. So here's the takeaway from this week. If you didn't initiate the login, right? If you didn't initiate that login, pause first. That pause is so important, right? It's important in so many things in life. Just pause. Don't react. You want to respond. So pause first. Next, deny it. Third, report it. So if this episode helped you rethink MFA in your environment, hit that like, share it with your team, and send it to one person who taps approve before reading. So next week, we'll be back with another way to make security practical, positive, and a little harder to bypass. Until then, I want you guys to laugh. I want you guys to learn. And most importantly, I want you to boot up. Hoot up!